Hey folks, welcome to the Holy Comforter Episcopal Church YouTube Bible Study. I'm Jimmy Abbott, the priest here at Holy Comforter, and I have some reflections for the upcoming gospel lesson that we'll read this Sunday, September 16th. This is commonly called the Confession of Peter. Jesus is walking along and he says to his disciples, "Who do the people say that I am?" They say, well, some of them say you're John the Baptist, some say you're Elijah, some say you're some other prophet. Jesus says, but who do you say that I am? And this is when Peter makes that famous acclamation, you are the Messiah. And that's, you are the Christ. You are the anointed one. Now, we sort of, Peter sort of has some issues here, because then Jesus says, well, that means that I'm going to undergo suffering and death. I'm going to be killed. In 3 days, I'm going to rise again. Peter goes, whoa, Jesus, like, that's not messiahship. This is when Jesus then rebukes Peter, "Get behind me, Satan." And then Jesus calls the crowd together. This is Gospel of Mark chapter 8, verse 34. He called the crowd with his disciples and said to them, "If any want to become my followers, let them deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For those who want to save their life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake and for the sake of the gospel will save it. For what will it profit them to gain the whole world and forfeit their life?" I mean, this is pretty intense stuff. I think a lot of times we use this phrase, oh, that's your cross to bear. People have said that to me. As you all know, I'm a diabetic, and people will say to me, that's your cross to bear. Like, no, that is not my cross to bear. That is just a sickness. The cross to bear is following Jesus, is being willing to suffer for the sake of the good news of Jesus Christ. I mean, sickness, though it's bad, is not the cross to bear. And I think that is one thing that we have to remember. I think this is especially true in American Christianity, where we don't want any suffering. We want everybody to be happy and pleasant and okay. We sort of, we don't like these stories about suffering. We want health and wellness and all that. But here Jesus saying, take up the cross. I mean, remember what the cross was? The cross was the tool used by the Roman Empire for political execution. Can you imagine Jesus saying to you, walk into the gas chamber and follow me. Follow me to the gallows. Pick up your noose and follow me. Follow me and carry your lethal injection syringe. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that Jesus is saying, not this sort of pick up your cross, and now we have this sort of all these like beautiful gold, emblazoned crosses around. No, this is a method of suffering and death to glorify God. I also think about this, for those who want to save their life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake and for the sake of the gospel will save it. What will it profit them to gain the whole world and forfeit their life? I think this is something that America really does need to hear. We have a culture in which we feel that we must constantly arm ourselves and defend ourselves, defend our property. And what I have to ask is that worth it? Is it really worth it to be constantly fearful of your neighbor? Because I think that's what Jesus is getting at. That if you're constantly afraid like that, you're going to end up not having a life. It's going to be a sorry, miserable existence for you. What Jesus is saying that even on the cross there is incredible freedom and grace, and it's actually on the cross in that death and suffering that we see the fullness of God's love for all of creation. This is what I ask you to consider. There's a theology professor at Duke University, Stanley Hauerwas. He says, what America asks is, what are we willing to kill people for? What the gospel asks of us is, what are we willing to die for? And that, I think, really shows the tension between the American mythos, the American religion, and true Christianity. So I'd ask you to consider that in your daily life and work. as you go to places of worship, places of education, to the grocery store? Are those places really places that we need to be fearful and scared and lock up? Or are these places need to be open? I don't have an answer for any of those things, and I know that it's an incredibly nuanced world that we live in now. But I just want to leave you with that question. What are you willing to die for? So thank you all. Would love to hear from you. Any reflections that you have, you can leave them in the comment section or email me, jimmy@holycomforterspring.org. Thank you.